But you know, Vince, you just mentioned about you said bullshit, yeah, and the process that seems to be happening here is I'm there's something trying to work out whether my life is 99% bullshit or just complete 100%. Because it's all automatically happening. Is it actually all just complete 100% bullshit and I'll just slide along with it, you know?
Well, it's none of it's bullshit, but it's all bullshit, and they're both true.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yeah,
I can go with that.
yeah. I mean, what when we say bullshit, what we're really talking about is meaning, isn't it? We're talking
Yeah,
about what's the meaning of it, and that it's obvious that that's a construct. That's a social
yeah.
construct, or rather, I love this one. It's a cultural construct. God, waking up is hard, isn't it, John Lee?
Yeah, I've tried for 18 years.
I was actually referring to the kind of waking up, coming out of sleep,
Yeah,
the nightly sleep. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was an unintended pun. So one of the Daryl, one of the recommendations I have for people guiding is that keeps things really alive and ongoing in terms of discovery. And so, I mean, I heard a couple of things you said that were along the lines of uh, working and um, looking for stuff to work with and so on. And that just just be relaxed. You don't have to work at anything, and in fact, working is counterproductive. And just be relaxed and open to what turns up, and you'll have no end of stuff that'll be there for you to quote work on. But you don't need to work on them. Just look at them. Just that's all you need to do at this stage. Yeah. So This is a big thing. Watch when if seeking starts again, or if it actually finished. You still feel like a seeker even though you're through the gate. And
No, I
so
really don't.
no,
In
good.
fact,
Yeah, yeah,
the inclination to watch videos on the subject, to read about it, that kind of thing, has diminished
yeah. Great.
significantly.
Yeah,
The only thing that hasn't changed is, and this is what I was part of what I was referring to with making the effort to keep track of things, is that some of the stuff has this weird amnesic quality about it. It'll
yeah.
happen and then I'll forget it. I knew it happened. I know it happened, but I cannot recall
Mm.
what the event was, even if it was like a significant moment of insight. Like, how in the heck did that happen? I don't remember what happened. And so, or something will come up, I'll be out and about, and I won't be able to really um, take the time to look into something that has made itself known. And so I'll make a note of it so that later I can go back and revisit it. And I heard what you said, these things will keep coming up, but um, I guess I'm going to have to experience that for myself and learn to trust it, because so far it seems like a lot of things, they come and they go, and when they go, the memory of them is really vague.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I get that for sure. Yeah, yeah. No, it does appear, and so I'm at the age now where I don't know whether it's got to do with waking up or whether it's got to do with dementia or whatever, you know.
Right.
Yeah, no, I rely heavily on the calendar. I don't even try to remember stuff now because it doesn't work. Sometimes, a lot of the time. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. So there is that, but when I've investigated, you know, a lot of the time it's what we see as a memory problem isn't a memory problem at all. It's an attention problem. So we do things automatically and we don't, and therefore nothing gets put away into memory. So there's nothing
Right.
to recall simply because we weren't paying attention when we put our keys down or whatever it was that we can't remember, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I have trust, you know, trust it works itself out. And if things get forgotten, they get forgotten. And there's no point in feeling bad about that because it's already done, isn't it? It's already
Yeah.
finished. Yeah. 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 It's an incredible ride, you know, it's like, so what I say to people is, a sense of curiosity and discovery, uh, will replace the seeking that we had before, when we go through the gate. You know, if we've gone through, if we've investigated enough of the delusions that we were operating under, then that's what will happen. It'll just be, well, life will bring it on and let's enjoy it, you know, kind of thing. And Dennis is still a seeker, even though he knows everything. He's found everything there is to be found, but he's still seeking. Or at least he was yesterday. Whether it's true today, who knows?
Still a seeker, Vince. Still a seeker. Didn't want to disappoint you. Well, it feels like I'm down to a fine duality, though. You know, been doing the looking obviously for the sense of self through the five senses, and it's very clear it's not in taste, smell, hearing, touch, sight, and then looking at thoughts, and obviously thoughts are appearing in this space. So it's kind of just looking. It's the only way I could say is looking at presence without labeling. Um, so I've been doing a good bit of that yesterday and some today, this morning. I was out up till recently because of family stuff, but I noticed this morning just the body feeling very, very relaxed and chill. It's like the body was getting a message that I maybe haven't got yet. And then just noticing kind of energies in the body and tinglings and feelings of like water rushing through my body and the sense of wanting to gently shake. So there's something loosening up in the body. Letting that happen. So that's kind of what I've been doing the last day or two, and I think I just need to continue doing that inquiry to find the I, or to see, does it exist really?
And you can continue to do that at the same time as you contemplate what will be the ramifications of a final acceptance that there is no actual I there, that all there is a misinterpretation of the sensory inputs that give you this delusion that there is an actual I, the sense of I, the sense of I. Do you think the sense of I is going to go away? Do you think if you go back to the magician show 5 times, that on the 5th time you're going to see that he's not actually sawing a woman in half?
No, I think you're right. My sense is that, and I don't know for sure, but my sense is you're right that the sense of I mightn't go away, because I'm just listening to you now, and I don't feel the need to kind of be mean. It's just there's just an acceptance here of what's being seen and heard. So, but I can see that, like you said, there might be that subtle sense of, I don't know what you call it actually.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah. You know, this is an interesting one. If you ever have looked at the fetters, what the fetters are, and so you got the first fetter, which is that seeing that there is no inherent self running the show, and then you've got doubt, and then you've got rites and rituals, and then you've got desire and aversion, and then you've got form and formless, and then right up there at number 8, you've got this really subtle sense of I am. Right? It's kind of like, it's like the first fetter. It's like the self, but it's not. It's just so much more subtle. That sense of I am still there all the way through, almost right at the very end of all of the fetters. So, you know, that may be what you're getting in touch with now, rather than one that belongs at the first fetter.
Yeah, funny you say that actually, because I did wonder that at one point because I'd only ever focused on the first few fetters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then there was something about it, 7 or 8 or something. I was down. Oh, I just thought, is there a chance that's where I'm working on as opposed to 1? I never know where I am with this, but I look at it, it doesn't matter. I feel like I have it down to a very simple looking, and
Yep.
and I need to keep looking until I'm clear, or that until that sense of an I dissolves or something shifts, whatever. I don't know, but that I'm right there at a gate, a door, and I just have to stay there and look, keep looking.
Yeah. Well, at some point also you'll recognize that what appears from from what appears from before going through the gate as an achievement, after you go through the gate and look back, you go, that was not the way to look at it. It wasn't an achievement at all. It's not.
Yeah,
There's not. Yeah. There's no.
I don't get anything from it.
Yeah. Not only that though. When it happens, it's just a perspective shift rather than there's no certificate kind of thing. But there's just it happened because it happened, not because of any work you put into it.
Yeah, and it's funny, as I've done this work yesterday and today, felt really good this morning, but like this evening, feel a lot of pressure in my gut and in my solar plex and in my chest. It really feels like there's a person standing on my chest and gut. So like my plan would be just to feel into that while the conversations happen here tonight, and just
Yeah. 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 But as you say, your plan is to. So it's like, yeah, okay, you're going to work at it regardless of what's said. That's your intention. Whether it actually happens or not, that's another story. But the intention is
yeah,
there to do that. Yeah.
yeah,
One of the things that just popped up in my mind then was that it might be valuable to you, or you might already do it. I don't know. Is to get 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 close and intimate with what's going on, with the idea, the purpose, the intention, and I laugh, of of separating what you're relating to. Are you relating to what is actually there, or are you relating to your ideas about what is there? And so looking to try and distinguish the two, so the meaning we put on something immediately hijacks our focus into relating to a concept rather than the direct experience of what is there, the actual experience of what is there.
Yeah, and that's I'm doing it as you're talking. I know what you mean, because it puts subtle labels on it: gut, chest, weight, pressure. So when you said that, they just feel the way, and it's just energy. So, for want of a better word, I need time to just settle into it.
Yep. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. Settle into it, just sink into it, swim in it, and just experience it as at that level of closeness that you can when you do that. Yeah.
Dennis, I have a question. I wonder, this just throw this out there, or maybe you could, maybe it's a seed or something. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I wondered yesterday. I was starting to wonder if part of you doesn't really want to wake up, because if you were to wake up, rich thinking and attention and all this activity that we all do when we're searching to keep your mind off of what you don't want to feel, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the honest answer, Scott, is I don't know. I mean, could there be some hidden corner that doesn't want to? I'm sure in most people who are at this, there's a bit of that. But I'm not secretly kind of going, I really don't want to wake up. I remember having moments in the past where I kind of got a bolt of fuck. Do I really want this? This doesn't sound like, and then you hear people go, nobody could want this. So there definitely was times of fear around what this might be like. But I feel like I'm past that at this stage. I feel like I might have gone over this cliff, or what I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm not going to do another 10 years of seeking, that's for sure. So I'm open to what you said, but I feel like I have, or my practice right now is what I described to Vince, and I'm going to continue to feel into this stuff and be, in that presence, and look for the I that I think is there until, and it reminds me what Adji used to say: you can get to that door or that edge, but you can't walk through it. Something else has to happen. Like you can't go all the way. Something else happens. So, unless I'm to not trust that sort of a thing, I know you can't trust anything. Everyone's just pointing, but
Dennis, to finish my thought the other day where I said there's two things, and I said, I asked you, do you want to become awake, or do you want to see the self? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I said, awake is also a thought, but then I didn't finish. The self and no self, that's also a thought.
I kind of heard it, I think, John, as to see through the self. That's kind of the way I heard it. I think I went with number two.
Right. But then what I'm implying is what you're trying to see through is also a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do you have left then?
Oh, this. everything.
Yeah.
And no thing.
I could say everything. I can't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. I said no thing.
Yeah, I know. No thing. Yeah. Like what I could say, Vince, is maybe maybe there'll be a realization that there is no thing, but I won't realize that. Maybe.
Yep. Well, you will. Yeah. I don't know about you. Did you learn about abstract and concrete nouns in school?
Oh, I'm pretty dyslexic, so that stuff is way over my head. But I'll listen to you if you want to give me a quick lesson.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty simple. You know, a lot of abstract nouns. I was taught that a noun was a thing. That's how we learned what a noun was. It was a thing. But abstract nouns are not things. They're things that are not things. And the only thingness about them is in language, just for the sake of convenience and communication and whatever. We also communicate to ourselves as well as communicating to other people, and we use the same thing. We use language to do that. You know, that's why we think in words. When we think in words, we are communicating something to ourselves, and we respond to them almost as if somebody else was saying the words. And even if they're unspoken, they're just thoughts. We still have that communication going on. And we use abstract nouns like they're concrete nouns. And that's one of the things that we're learning here, although we don't specify it like that. We're learning that much of it is, in fact, abstract, not concrete at all. So the only concrete thing that you can really hang on to for the moment, because it is also not actually concrete, but the only thing that you can take as concrete is your experiencing, your current experiencing, but not what it means, not the conceptual overlay to that, just the actual experiencing. Yeah. I mean, you probably already get this. If I was to just pull up somebody in the street and try to get them to see that most of what they're relating to in the world as their idea about things rather than the actual things. They'd put me away. You know, they would call the cops or something. I don't know what would happen, but essentially they're not going to go along. They're not going to get what I'm saying at all. But you do, don't you? Most of what people relate to is their ideas about what their senses are telling them, not the actual sensory input at all.
Yeah, I think I get it intellectually. We label, we objectify, but the thing itself is, you know, you can touch it, you can see it, but
But have you had a conversation with a tree yet?
well, I've tried it a few times, but it doesn't talk back.
Yeah. So even when you say you can touch it and see it, you recognize, I guess, you recognize that you're not touching it, that your experience is a sensory input that you call touch, or a visual input that you call sight or seeing.
I can recognize that when I'm paying attention, but that's not my lived experience all the time.
No, so you go back, and for convenience sake, and it's quite reasonable, you go back to relating to your ideas about things and people. That's the way it works at a social level, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's a difference, and I don't know when that difference was. Like, I don't treat a cup like it's a cup. It's more special. Um, in a very weird way, it's like God in disguise as a cup. That sort of knowing or that sort of feeling about it, that somehow at some point in my life I realized things aren't just objects. There's something else going on, and there's a reverence for everything in that sense. And a tree is not a tree. Intellectually you could say it's more alive, and it has energy, and it's not just this piece of wood. It's way more. What it is, I don't know, but it's not just a tree. There's a reverence for things, and that's what I feel.
Mm. Yep, yep. So I would say, and I get what you're saying, and I that reverence for me comes from the unknowable nature of the absolute, of what it is, that what it actually is. That I can't, this mind can't wrap itself around what it actually is.
Yeah.
That provokes that reverence. But here in for the exercises that we're doing here to wake up, we kind of need to go in the other direction, and we need to go to break it down into really base components of what's being triggered here. Is there is no cupness in the cup. There is that is only a purpose that we've overlaid on this thing that we describe as having color and shape and form. That the cupness is purely our mental relationship with it. That they're
Yeah, and I
relationship.
remember doing with the guide some of that work, but maybe I need to do more of that where, like, when you're talking now, I can see that there's just colors in front of me. I can overlay with a screen and Vince, but really it's just colors and movement and sound.
Yeah.
And I know that's what you're pointing at. It feels like, yeah, I can notice that. So maybe there's a practice to notice that more and more until I'm reminded of Fetter 6, where things might shift or change or depth or all that kind of stuff. It's another way of working with this. But I
Well,
feel like I have
you
something to work with.
I don't want you to get the expectation that you're going to relate to everything at that base level. You just need to know that it exists, and that's a reality. That reality, stupid word. That's what's actual. That's you just need to know it's there. Like, you just need to know there's no watermelon in the fridge. You don't have to keep going back and looking. You don't have to break everything that you relate to down to those basic components. You just need to know that that is what is actual. Once you've known that, you can forget about it, kind of thing.
Yeah. So the way I'm hearing you now is like, you need to know that there's no Vince.
Yeah. And I don't have to look to see that anymore, because I know. Why do I want to spend my life standing in front of the fridge, opening the door, seeing there's no watermelon, closing it, and then opening it again to make sure that I saw what I saw, or that I didn't see what I didn't see, and closing it and opening it again, and closing it and opening it. Oh God, that would be exhausting. I don't need to do that. When doubt comes along, we tend to open it again and have another look. But when doubt goes away, you can just rest in assurance that no, there's definitely not one in there. There's no Vince. There's ideas about Vince. It's pretty clear they're just ideas.
Vince, I just want to ask you, so before you woke up, you kept kind of looking for Vince, and then there was a point where deep down, and you kept looking and you didn't find. But the first time you looked and you didn't find, I'm assuming that's not when you woke up, that you kept going back and you kept going back. And then there was a point where you unequivocally knew there is no Vince. And
No,
that was
yeah, no, that's
no.
everybody has different experiences, of course. So that looking for the self was not the portal that I fell through when I woke up. Uh, um, when I woke up, the realization that the epiphany that occurred for me was that I can't be a seeker and be awake at the same time. That my, and these are kind of the words I'm overlaying now was that if I identify as a seeker, I exclude the possibility of identifying as somebody who's awake. It was an either or situation. It couldn't be both. I had to drop being a seeker in order to wake up. And when that hit me, seeking just dropped instantly. Seeking dropped. There was this, wow, this is it. This that I experience is all there is. Unless I start thinking about that and then I overlay mental stuff and that changes what this is. It's still this, but it becomes a different this. And the thing is that the moment that I'm unsatisfied with this, the moment I want this to be different, that's going to change it in a really unpleasant way. That's where all the suffering happened. So if I want whatever I become aware of to be different, all I'm doing is corrupting the next moment. That was my awakening. And then there was about a day and a half or something of some pretty psychedelic experiences, I guess. And then doubt came along a little bit, but no, it wasn't really doubt. What came along was I really wanted to talk about this. I was really excited, and this was back when the internet was quite young, and anyway, I had searched and searched and searched on the internet for stuff to look for. Oh God, I read everything I could get my hands on and so on. And anyway, about a week after I woke up with that epiphany, I discovered Liberation Unleashed. And when I went to Liberation Unleashed and registered and started to talk to them, the first thing they did was a guide, and it was Ilona herself and another bloke, two of them. Asked me questions, and one of the questions they asked was there a self? And that's the first time I thought about it. Never thought about it before that at all. And when they asked me, it was just blatantly obvious that self was just what I thought about. There was no actual self. There was just thoughts that I responded to, ideas. And that was obvious. I didn't have to look at all. And I never had to keep looking ever for that. It was just never a question. It was always so clear to me that self was just a bunch of thoughts. So it wasn't really a self at all. It was just something I responded to, I had been responding to. But that's my experience, and I am that's not that typical. But I guess because since then, and that was back in 2011, I started guiding immediately at LU, and I didn't even read the literature at LU. I just saw LU as a place to interact with seekers and use the forum to do that, and so I was just guiding from pure intuition. That was all. I didn't read any of the files. I didn't even know about the exercises. I just started guiding people using my own experience of that recognition that that's what it was about. So I didn't even put seeking for a self at the forefront of that when I did my guiding. But boy, I discovered lots of stuff about myself as a guide. That was pretty good. But that's not typical, I guess.
What about you, Alan? Did you have like did you have a moment? Because it just came up yesterday. I was listening back and I heard, Vince, I think Vince said something about if you believe you're awake, you're awake. And I had like a lot of resistance to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like belief is just a thought. And if you think that it's more than a thought. It's not a thought. It's like it's a different like it's a different perspective. And you just move through the world differently. You see things just slightly differently, and it's more consistent.
Yeah. I'd love.
But I was just wondering about people's experience, because Angelo also talks about people popping, and it's only my intuition, but I feel like there's and it happened for you too, Vince. I mean, you suddenly knew there's no self. It wasn't a thought like, oh, I'm looking for the self. I can't find the self. But then 10 minutes later, you're riddled with anxiety and you're all wrapped up. Just because you're looking for a self, you can't find a self doesn't mean, you're awake. I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wanted before Alan tells you, I just wanted to jump in and say that's not the way you put it. What I said about if you believe you're awake, that's not quite how I meant it to be. But obviously, people do mistake what I say because I'm not being clear enough or something. It's what's blatantly more true to me is that if you believe you're not awake, then you're not awake. Right? But just believing you're awake is not enough to wake up. But people are awake who believe they're not awake, and so they're not awake. And that might sound crazy, but there's Dennis next to you, exactly there. Dennis is awake, but he believes he's not awake, so he's not awake. Full stop.
But why? So Dennis is awake. So are you saying Dennis was always awake, or Dennis is awake now, as in like he's been awake for the last few weeks, or
No, I'm saying he's not awake because he believes
he's not awake? Okay.
right. But all of the requirements for wakeness are there, except for the belief that he's awake. That's the only one that's missing. Now you can't adopt a belief, can you? You either believe or you don't believe. That's not something you've got any control over.
Right. Would the word like experience not like
Yeah, sure.
he had,
Absolutely. Yeah, experiences. Yeah. And with experience comes a change of belief. With experience comes things like trust or a dissipation of mistrust, which is probably more accurate, but yeah.
Along
Okay.
that line, I just want to real quick. I won't take too much time, but one of Angela's channel is absolutely awesome, and but he's got this one video in there I was watching, and it was about how do you know if you're awake, or so, it was something along that line. And in there he goes, if you have to ask if you're awake, you're probably not. And I'm like, that held me back for so long. Because I just felt, okay, wait a minute, I have to ask. I guess I'm not awake. I'm just not awake. And I felt like I was waiting for this event to happen, to hit me in the face and tell me I'm awake. And I just want to express it. That for some reason, that just really helped.
Yeah. So
But that did happen for Vince. Vince did have an event happen. He had a moment where he knew that he knew what way did I was just going to say that no self, but that he couldn't be seeking and be awake at the same time. He had that moment, and that was it. So
I'm sure that
there was a moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure that happens, but I don't think it's across the board. In fact, I know it's not across the board. At least that's what I've been told. But
everybody's different, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So what about people who see through the self and they're awake, and then a month later along comes doubt? Now, doubt, of course, isn't a thing that comes along, but you know what I mean. So then all of a sudden they've got doubt. Does that mean that they've gone back to sleep? That they're not awake? They're still sure
I think
there's no self.
I think it means that there's something still hanging on. Yeah, there's something
Absolutely.
hanging.
Of course, you're right. So what about me? 13 or 14 years later, right? A month ago, I had another little awakening about just a particular thing that I discovered about myself. I discovered that there was this belief that the world should be the way I think it should be. And I saw that, and it's gone. Is that 14 years later that happened? Does that mean that I'm not awake? On the other hand, I can also say, does anything mean that I am awake? It's equally true.
Maybe there's like different levels, different.
Well, it's a concept that might be useful. Yeah. Or maybe it's not. Yeah.
Sorry. I was just going to say this. It's a really good question. And Santa Claus. What happens when you see Santa Claus?
What happens? You asking me? Are you asking?
Yeah. So just think about Christmas time. What happens when you see Santa Claus?
What happens? I know that Santa Claus isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
Okay, and there's a little
All right,
but
there's a deep down, like it's deep in your gut, like
Mm-hmm.
Santa Claus isn't real, I suppose, as much as you can know anything
Yeah.
to be true.
So you're at a children's Christmas party. I don't know. Do you have? I don't know what your family situation is, but just
I don't have kids.
I guess you could imagine just being at a kid's Christmas party. I talk from my own experience. Little kids, and I know Santa Claus isn't real, but I throw myself into that, and I'm having a great time with Santa Claus. I sometimes am Santa Claus, sitting there with kids on my knee, and it's not deep down, I know, but I'm still enjoying that experience totally. Am I asleep then?
that feels different. I don't know.
It does, but
I know you're playing a part. You're playing a role. You're using your
So are you.
imagination.
So are you. You're playing Will. You're doing
exactly.
a big job of being Will. And you've
So-
got your own version of the Santa Claus suit on.
Yeah, I'm beginning to experience that. I'm beginning to experience it. But it's not stable. There's no stability.
Well,
There's no stability.
if you didn't think of it not being stable, what would be there?
I don't. It doesn't feel like. It feels like. The word doubt. I find it tricky with doubt. It just feels like I forget.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, and I go back into this other way of looking at things. I really like when Vince talks about left brain, right brain, because that makes so much sense to me. I go back to the left.
We'll just come back
to the left.
Just come back to this deep knowing. What's your deep knowing?
My deep knowing from my experience in the last few weeks is that I can navigate the world for moments or minutes at a time without having to refer to self. That if the little bit of a flip I've had is in a good moment that like there's just sound and there's no me, or there's just seeing, and there doesn't have to be me to see. There's just
okay.
And
So
things are, but it's different because when I'm in that space, things are wider. There's like it feels like there's more. There's like no boundaries. Like
okay.
it looks different, and the sound. When there's no me, the sound is different because it's just the sound. There's no label.
Yeah. But if you can go back to what the first thing you said, and this is part of waking up. Well, not a part of waking up, it's core to it. You said that referring to self. Is that what you said?
Sorry, Alan, say that again. Sorry.
What I heard you say was, there are minutes that you can navigate the world without referring to yourself.
Yeah, yes.
Is that what? Okay, so just stay with that. What are you referring to when you say without referring to self? What is this reference that you're talking about?
When I am referring to self.
You said there are times when you can navigate the world without referring to self.
Yeah.
So what are you referring to when you're referring to self? The moments that you are referring to
there's a separation. It's like I'm looking, there's a subject object, I'm looking, I'm hearing, there's labels. I'm tasting,
really,
or I'm in fantasy, or
So right at this point, to look at what you're referring to, just look. It's so easy to talk about subject, object, that's another label. Really just look, what are you referring to?
it's scary, man.
Okay, just stay with the scary. What are you looking? What are you referring to?
Oh, there's nothing. I'm genuinely like there's in those, like even now a few seconds ago, there's not, I'm not referring to anything.
Okay, just stay there. Is that the truth for you?
Yes.
You know that without a shadow of a doubt?
Yes, I know it without a shadow of a doubt. But there's a but.
And
I
what's the
forget.
but?
I keep forgetting.
Really?
Or there's a forget. I can't stay. I don't stay. I
So
don't stay here.
what is
I
forgetting? What is forgetting?
forgetting is the perspective goes back um to a thought.
Okay, right. So
From
what takes you away from that knowing?
I don't know.
Well, you just said it yourself, actually.
That I forget.
No, no, no. You said it was a thought.
Right, it's a thought. Right. But
So
the thought I can't
sorry, go on.
no, I was just but I think yeah, so the thought and I think I get lost. So there's a lose in the thought, then this is hard to explain. But the thought, yeah, the thought comes in and then I'm the thought clouds over or
Right,
something.
right. So there's two things that for me are so important to realize. One is that there is no self, but also to really be honest about what clouds that truth. That's the darkness. That's the sleepy bit. That's the illusion, that the thought that comes in, and it can be so subtle. So you've said, when you really look, there is no you, there is no will, there's no me, there's no self. Is that true?
Yeah, I really looked. I went to the beach on Thursday
Mhm.
and I really looked for
Okay.
long.
So you're saying
I felt like
you're saying
I
that is
felt
the truth.
yeah, I mean it felt more true than anything. Yeah.
Okay. So stay with that and then just watch what takes you away from that. What takes you away from that is this big word we call the illusion, which is nothing more than a thought.
So how do we work with the thought then?
That's the problem. Do you need to work with the thought? There's another thought. I've got to work with this thought. That's the beautiful subtlety and illusion that grabs hold of us. I've got to work with this thought, and then we're away again. We're on the thought train. What would
It
happen
seems
if you just went back to the truth and said, okay,
it
thought,
seems with the senses that kind of, but I'm using words just with I and me, just so I can explain. It seems with the senses that like that that there was that's it has happened that there's a way of working with like the visual now. Like when I'm moving, I've said this before, but when I'm moving now, for some reason, my part of my brain or whatever. But when I'm moving, like I can lose myself. There's just kind of moving. Just feels like there's moving or there's things coming towards me. It seems that's an easy gateway for me. Or with the sound, it's an easy gateway. And if I close my eyes and taste the food, it's with those the smell as well. So with those, but the thoughts, I, even though
so
I'm saying how to work,
yeah.
the
So
thought.
do you see what's happening right now? It seems as though you're talking about this non-duality stuff, but you're just talking about thoughts. Go back to the truth that you know.
I wonder, Will, is there an expectation that you'll always be able to live in this place where those moments?
No, I don't think so. But there is an expectation that the percentage of time that I can live in there is going to go up.
Well, you
There
know
is
what? Yeah,
that.
let me put here's a good one. The only time I'm aware of awake is at these meetings. When this meeting finishes, guess what? I'm out there chopping water and carrying wood, and I'm not even thinking about this stuff. It doesn't even arise. Wow, you must be exhausted working with thought. That would be an incredible amount of effort and time involved and so on. Now, so instead of working with thought, what occurs to me is, what is your relationship to thought? And then I want to ask you, if you were to go outside and there was enough breeze that you felt the breeze on your face, and you become aware of the fact that there is a breeze on your face, you felt it. What is your relationship to the breeze or to the sense of feeling that comes from the breeze?
Well,
That,
I did this. You asked somebody else to do that last week.
yeah,
So I, so I felt the breeze more in the last 7 days than I've ever felt.
become more aware of it. Well, I
And
want you to have the same
when I can get there,
relationship.
well, genuinely, when there's enough relaxation, and I mean, I don't know if these are the mind quietens down. It seems relaxation is pivotal for me. Um, that there's just the breeze. There's just the breeze. There's nothing else. Only the breeze.
And isn't there just the thoughts in exactly the same way? Why do you make them into something that you've got to work with? You don't have to work with the breeze, do you?
Mm.
The breeze is stimulating your tactile sense, and your thoughts stimulate a different sense, but they're the same thing. There is no difference.
Mm.
So you notice them or not. Do you think the man sitting at the shopping centre in the Santa suit is constantly saying to himself, I've got to pretend I'm Santa. I've got this Santa suit on. I've got to be always aware that I've got the Santa suit on? Or do you think that he forgets about all of that and he goes, hello, little boy, what's your name? Or whatever his job is to do there. Right. So at that moment when he's doing that, he's not aware that he's got a Santa suit on. He's not aware that he's playing the role of Santa. He's just, but that's what seems like from the outside, but that's not where his attention is. His attention is on relating to the next kid that's coming up. Right. Just as you don't have to be constantly aware that you've got the Will suit on, that you're playing the role of Will. That happens automatically. That's the way it seems to other people, but you don't have to be aware of it. But when you look in the metaphorical mirror, you can see that, oh, I've got a Santa suit on. I forgot I had the Santa. I've got this beard on. I forgot I had that on. I was thinking that it was getting to be lunchtime and I was more thinking about what I was going to eat than I was about the fact that I've got a red suit on with a fake beard. Well, that's what happens for you, for me. You know, I cooked a curry last night. Do you think every time I chopped a vegetable, I was saying, oh, here you are, Vince, you're chopping vegetables?
Dennis has just woken up.
No, but that's a thought. Here I am, Vince. I'm chopping vegetables. But were you actually chopping? Were were you with the experience when you were chopping vegetables, or were you la, or were you, are you or were you in La La Land?
Um, if I've got to remember that. Have I? Whatever. I don't know. I have no idea where I was. I'm sure. I do remember thinking I should put this knife over the steel because it's a little bit blunt when I was chopping the chicken. Um, but otherwise, chopping vegetables just happened. I don't remember where the mind was at the time. I can't remember thinking of La La Land stuff. I was just, who knows? Doesn't matter. It just happened.
Yeah, I suppose I do have this. Maybe I do have this expectation of being with the experience and being present and
Ah,
just
that's
being.
another thing. Yeah, yeah. So look, that is available. That stuff is available, and that's where the fucking magic is. When you hook into that stuff, you go, wow, look at that. Yeah. Oh God, Dennis, you're blowing my mind here.
That's right. Dennis, you'll have to stop it.
Yeah,
Dennis is having a moment.
having a big moment. Yeah.
Did you just get it, Dennis? Did you pop?
It's just funny. Just funny. It's
This
just
waking
funny.
up, this waking up stuff's supposed to be serious, Dennis. What's going on?
That's exactly it, Alan. Just Finn's cracked me up with that comment. I'm here. I don't know what you said.
Yeah, I don't know what I said either, I tell you this, humor is a really amazing thing, and it tells us something. And I tell you, you heard about the idea of the cosmic joke. Well, when you pass through the goat, when you find yourself laughing often. Yeah.
We better call an ambulance, I think, Dennis.
Was it the goat you passed through, Vince, or the gate?
I think they're the same thing.
Passed through the goat.
Yeah.
And did anybody notice, Vince, you said chopping water?
I don't
And
know. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Yeah. I said that one on purpose like that, but I don't know if anybody noticed. It didn't
I
matter.
did.
Yeah. I think that's a bit funny too, because that's the nature of chopping water and carrying wood. It's
Yeah.
it's a bit crazy. Yeah, seeking is a serious business, but being awake is hilarious.
But we have to go through the seeking to realize.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah.
Paul Hederman says, you go on retreats until you realize you don't need to go on a retreat.
I once had this little thought process that went on and said something like, Jesus, Vince, you were a seeker for well over 40 years, actively seeking, and then you wake up basically on your 65th birthday. Wouldn't it have been great if I woke up on my 15th birthday? And when I
Yeah.
had that thought, I went, guess what? Everything that I ever experienced was all necessary for me to wake up. 40 years of frustration and
Yeah.
all the shit that went along with that. 40 years of that. Yeah. It was all required.
Is that a belief, Vince?
Yeah. It was a comforting belief.
Well, well, there's something that I'd just like to point out on a practical level. When you're talking and I interrupt, it looks like, I'm trying to break your train of thought. And that's exactly what the purpose is. Because so often we start to just follow our thoughts and our words are just spoken thoughts, really. So it's not a socially acceptable practice, but it's one that is intended to just stop that midstream.
So did you have a moment, Alan, going back to where you like realized you were you kind of
Yeah, and it's interesting talking about these events. I'm reluctant to talk about it because, as Vince just said, everything else there's all sorts of moments that happen that culminate in something, and it was a moment when I just saw that I was lost in my thoughts, and to describe, and I will describe it. I was driving along the freeway with my wife, and there was this argument going on in my head. And suddenly it just appeared as though I was watching this argument, and it was two voices, and I was creating both of them. And the realization of that, everything just stopped. And it was like a prison had just collapsed. And I was just I was just in nothing, this so-called nothingness, which was everything. So that lasted for 2 or 3 days. Actually, physically, there was a lot of physical symptoms as well. But guess what? After 3 days, the whole thing started up again. But I realized what was happening. So just let it happen. Did I fall asleep again? I mean, people might say I did. But there's no doubt here that it was when I realized that I was living life through thought, that just made a huge difference. There was a shift in life. So these stories are useful, but to use them as comparisons to your own can be a very subtle level of expectation. So did I wake up? Well, I really don't know, but things are different. I think there'd be a lot of non-dual practitioners who say, well, I'm not sure you did.
And who cares?
Yeah, that's the issue. That's the issue. Who cares?
And what you said was here a really telling point. But things are different, you said.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for you, Will, things are different. And for you, Dennis, things are different. From the things that you tell us, things are different. But but when that happened for Alan, he went, oh, that means something. And for you, you just haven't got that, what it means. That's all. Such a thin thread for both of you. We're such a thin thread that's keeping you from that.
I haven't laughed so hard in ages. When you just said, I don't go home and like, oh, here's Vince cooking dinner. Whatever of it just cracked me up. It was lovely. It just released so much tension in my chest. It felt lovely. And then I couldn't stop, and I didn't want to fucking stop either. But sometimes it is so serious. You're like, oh, that was lovely. That was lovely.
How's things for you today, Louise? You're not driving today. That was a long trip you did yesterday.
Hello. Yeah, 4 hours Saturday and 6 hours back today. So yeah.
Right.
And then I remembered you were all online, so I thought I'd pop on.
Yeah.
I just did. Good to see you. I really, really enjoyed the conversation as I was driving the other day, and yeah, it just lots of little things, little insights. I'm just enjoying the conversation, actually. It's really funny. It's a lot of talk about awakening. I actually don't know if I'm awake. And when you said, "Oh, who cares?" There was a big weight kind of came off my shoulder because I don't really care what I call it. I know many, many years ago, certain things happened. Whether they're awakenings, I'm not sure, but I was drinking a lot. And I would say since I've stopped drinking, gone through 12-step programs, and life has changed. And I've kind of just stopped wondering why. I'm just enjoying like things changing, really enjoying things just changing. And that'll be simple things like being with my kids is different, a bit more patient sometimes. And when I haven't, it's like noticing like there's some pattern that's playing out. But it's not so serious. It's not like I have to get this right anymore. Like I don't have to get it right. And the other thing since we last spoke is about the biggest thing was like it's not one or the other, it's both. And there's been more and more seeing in any moment. It's like you can kind of spin around that situation and see it from different perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like
Yeah,
that. I'd like to point out what something that Will said earlier about that wide open kind of thing. I call that wisdom. That's a place of being wise when we have that wider perspective and we can see many more angles of things. So yeah, thank you for that. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like just knowing that is there. Like there's just been a lot less worry. It just drops off because I don't have to carry so much knowledge. Because it'll just be there in the moment.
Yeah. That's another good one. That's another good telling sign, I think. Kind of questions don't need to have answers because when the question arises, it'll come with an answer, kind of thing. It's just that,
yeah. And these are just the little things that happen there's another one today. Like I had to go and pick my son up from a summer camp thing. I knew there was lots of people. I don't always look forward to that. And I walked in and I just saw, I don't know, it was just joyful to be in a room. Before I would be like quite fearful, and I don't know, something had left, some
Beautiful.
it's like this story is meeting that story and that story, and like you said,
Yeah. Oops, she's gone. Yeah. Great explanations. Great descriptions, rather. That. Yeah, love that.
Louise said she notices it in little things. Life is a whole lot of little things, isn't it? And acknowledgement of that difference is so sweet.
Mm. Yeah, and seekers tend to look for something big, and overlook the little things. They tend to, they have the experience, but they brush it off and very quickly forget it. Yeah, it doesn't add up. It's being human. That's what happens as humans, And that I've retold this story many times of traveling to our daughter's place, which is about an hour away, and my wife, after we got pulled up at the third red light, said, "Oh, all the bloody lights are red today," But when we replayed it in our mind, we'd been through 6 green lights and only 3 red lights, but we didn't notice the green lights, but we noticed the red lights, by golly. Yeah.
You notice we noticed the nose.
Yeah.
Were you okay, Dennis?
Yes. I realized when I started that I started coming here to find answers and ways to do it and to get somewhere. And now it feels as though that is just getting in the way. I'm just looking at what's going on for me as much as I can internally. I think I'm actually meditating. This idea of just the word awake is like something outside of me, something to look for. And it just gets in the way of what is, which is just what is right now. Last week I talked about all of this rage that is going through me and all of these intense emotions. And after being here, it all stopped. I can't figure that one out. I mean, that's really weird. But it's gone.
Yeah. You don't believe it actually needs figuring out, do you?
No. Oh well, no, wait a minute. I figure that's what I do for a living. So there's a part of me that wants to find a way of understanding it. And that way I can sort of put it to bed. But no, I don't really believe it. It just is.
Mm.
It's fascinating. Everything is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It is. And maybe that's the answer to figuring it out, that it just is, and it's fascinating. Yeah.
Yes. That's right. That's right. And because if You've said it, the looking is different from the being.
Mm.
And I came here looking, and I think that's what I do when I come here, and it's not satisfying anymore. I really do think that the being aware of what's going on as it's going on is important. And this whole thing of consciousness, aliveness, that it's like this black hole that I can't get near, but it's so big, and I assume I'll never get there. It seemed more important that awareness of aliveness seems more important than any of what the awareness is aware of, the thoughts, the emotions, and it's like if I start not thinking about it, but just allowing it there, it's very frustrating because I can't quite get there. I can't quite understand. I assume I never will. I'm just ambling.
Yeah, no, what you say, one of the things that's pretty relevant, you know. It's like all of that stuff is to get to the aliveness. But it's also the wrong road. Right? It has the promise, all the signposts say come down this road because that'll take you to aliveness, but it's not. It's it's a diversion away from aliveness. Right? So and the crazy thing is that if you go down the track that's got no signpost on it, aliveness is just around the corner. It's not a long road. But going down that one that says, come on down here and work on it, that's a never ending road, that one. And it never gets you there.
Yes. But I can be present.
Yeah.
And open. And that's it. It's like I get there and I'm just waiting.
Yep. So being present and that just happens, doesn't it? It's like it's not the result of trying to be present.
There's a choice of, it's like shutting up.
Yeah, stopping diversions, so the distractions.
Yeah, anything that doesn't have to do with right now.
Mm.
But it is a choice to be there, or for me, it's trying to be there. It's just trying to be present.
Yeah, but where does the idea come from that says you could be present right now? You could make this choice to be present right now. Where does that idea come from? It's not.
It happens.
It just happens. That's right. Yeah, it just happens. Yeah. So working at it is going to keep you so busy that it's going to stop a happening, really, isn't it?
it doesn't seem to work that way. It seems to, it's like it's, oh wait, oh yeah, I know, and then I go there.
Mm. Yeah.
And I go there more and more.
Yeah. Great. It sounds like
And
you're having good discoveries.
yes. Yes. I think so.
And it's a little bit hard to keep enjoying them when you're busy trying to work out how they happened.
Yeah. Or not wanting to lose it.
Ah, that's another one. Yeah, that's a good one. That one. Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on, wait, don't go away.
Yeah. Yeah. The suffering that's attached to success, eh?
Yes, that's it. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but more and more it's just I wouldn't even say I'm happy. I just say I'm here.
You just say what?
I'm here.
I'm here. Yeah, yeah, good one.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's enough. That's plenty. That's wonderful.
It is, yeah. Yeah, happiness is just another signpost on that road down the wrong way. Yeah.
The wrong way.
The wrong way. The road where all that effort is. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
I find I'm more spontaneous when I'm in the world, and it worries me a little bit in my work because I'm afraid I'm becoming more I was going to say more connected, but that's what I want.
Mm.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's I'm afraid that I'm going to lose control of me.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
It doesn't. I enjoy it not when it's not at work, but when I am at work, I feel like I have to find my way, and and I'm just being somebody else, and I'm concerned about what being that person is doing, or I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. What if you made a discovery? You know, this is just a fantasy. What if you made a discovery that what you thought was control was just a delusion, and that you never ever actually had control, and yet it seemed like you did, and things worked anyway?
Yes.
So you couldn't possibly lose what you never had. You're never going to lose control because you never actually had control.
Yeah.
But the idea, the illusion of control,
Yes.
yeah, that's pretty useful sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, self-deception is useful at times.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. That's good, because if I try and see the control that I think I had, I can't find it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a prominent interviewer here on our national broadcaster, and she said the other day that the best interviews she's done are those where there's no premeditated questions or no script.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are wonderful when they happen, and they do happen. And all that I have to do is get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
and let them.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, frustrating.
David, you said that you wouldn't call your experience happy. Would it be true that there's not discontent?
Correct. There's none. Is that what happiness is? Lack of discontent? Okay, I'm happy. Yeah, the thing is, so I come here and I started coming here because of discontent. And I was looking for answers, and I'm not looking anymore or something. I am coming here. I'm coming here for connection, not for answers.
Yeah.
And I have to sort of switch it around.
I think that's why I come too.
Yeah. I think of this as a playground.
Oh, as what?
A playground.
Yes. Yes. And it's like as many times as I come, it's always like a new playground. There's always new things to discover. Yeah, new toys to play with. I love it.
Yeah. Everything is always different, but everything is always the same. But everything seems connected to me, and that seems wrong. That seems like that's completely wrong. It should be that nothing is connected, and everything is just free.
Yeah, words get in the road, don't they?
Yes, they do. That's it.
So it might be interesting to take a look at this notion that everything's connected and see whether it's actually connected or is it actually more than that? That's too much of a question, perhaps.
Oh, I understand the question.
Sorry, David.
I understand the question.
Right.
And I mean, what is it that makes me think that everything, what is it in the background that says that everything is connected? I can come up with the intellectual answer, which is everything is just present, but that's not any good.
No, it's a beautiful thing just to drop the thought and just feel into it.
Yeah.
What comes up here is that the idea that things are connected implies that they were separate and now they're not, which for me just doesn't feel right. What I much prefer this idea that it's all the same, where there's no split offs to be connected.
Yeah.
There's something that, you know, it's sort of, we play with words, but I get this strong feeling that these feelings that are happening here are not mine. They're everybody's. Everybody's feeling their version of those feelings, and that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Except Andre, he's got some different feelings there. Look at how serious he looks.
By the way, David, lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to hear you.
I'm actually still in the aftertaste of Alan's driving story and the prison collapse. Alan, when you told that story, I felt um, I felt it's not safe to use pronounce here in this group, but I felt really uh, relaxed and like I felt like home, basically. I just felt like the intention was like there was so much, I don't know, these are cheesy words like, but like light and and sort of love and just stupid words like hugging and and it was I was sitting there and I was just surprised because I didn't plan any of that. And um I was actually thinking um that um I don't really have anything to say. Um because the moment that I was thinking like if Vince says Andre and then I have to say something, and then I thought, no, I don't. Like I I mean I could and I would probably and I will. But
Just before you do, just staying in that place that was undeniable for you, whatever that story evoked, just staying there and watch what takes you away from it. You spoke of an aftertaste, so there was something there was experience, and then something just started to take you away from it, and I can feel it, what you're pointing to, and you say they're cheesy words, but I deeply feel what you're pointing to. Just stay there and watch what might take you away from it. And the other thing is, just keep checking as to whether that ever leaves you, or whether it's just covered up. In fact, to say that it leaves you is even intoning a separation. Don't try to stay there. Don't try to stay there. Just let it be.
I think I love attention and I love talking and well, at least part of me does. And when I stay in that place, silent, um I don't get my drugs,
You're so right. The biggest addiction in this existence is thought.
Oh, I think there's a movement inside of me that says Okay, let's take a look at it. Like let's see. What is it?
Yeah. So that's beautiful. That is so beautiful because that's the first movement of thought, isn't it? Don't even bother taking a look at it.
Yeah. It's almost like two confronting parts. One wants to say something and the other's just like, shut up.
Mhm.
Um,
And if you let both of them be there, if you let both of them be there,
I can almost physically feel them stopping each other.
mhm. Enjoy the
But
show.
okay, now. It's almost like, I have to say this. I have to say this. Hear me out. Hear me out. I have to say this.
Yeah, just enjoy the show. That's all.
Um, I'm not enjoying it. Well, whoever is saying this is not enjoying it. I just feel that my heart is trepidating and um
Mhm.
and the
What's
hands
coming?
are shaking.
Mhm. What's coming
It's
here? What's coming here, Andre? Is let's not talk about it, eh? Just be with it.
almost felt like well felt. It was more of a thought that I was the tension that I felt just like there was a like I became like there was a borrowed personality if you could call it
Mhm.
that. Like um I mean a fantasy, like I just sort of had a my mother's look on things and I've almost like I don't know, like changed the suits with her in a way
Mhm.
that all perspectives. Um, and there's no burning sensation in the head behind in the is there a word for the back of the head in English? No, just the back of the head.
Just the back of the
Yeah,
head. Yeah.
just the back of the head. It's actually very relaxing that there's no separate word that I have to know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ah,
Yep, you don't have to get it right. You just be yourself. Describe what you described, the back of the head. Beautiful.
And I could feel this tension in my stomach, and I kind of feel that I have an idea that this is connected to expectations of someone's expectations of being perfect, knowing the word, just just doesn't really matter. It's just someone expecting something. Well, or at least it's like a borrowed expectation. You don't really know if they're expecting it, but you believe the idea so strongly that, well, they expect me to do certain things, or to be certain way, or to say certain things, and I just have to.
So the beautiful thing, Andre, is that you're noticing this. Who was it said earlier? All that's needed is clear seeing of this. That's all. If there's any work to be done, that's all that's needed, is to clearly see what's happening. And the rest takes care of itself. So beautiful. You're allowing yourself to see it. Are you not?
Yes. I just had these thoughts, but they were from the past anyway. They're not related to this. I just feel some kind of resistance to when you're saying this, and I'm like, no, there has to be someone smart. There has to be someone who can explain it, someone who can understand it, someone with an education, someone with a background, like a
There we go.
PhD or MHD or whatever HD, or I don't know, STD, it doesn't matter.
Do you, as you talk about it, do you feel the words kind of covering all this up again?
I just feel that this resistance that I feel so often in this group is just taking over back, and sort of not really snatching me, but sort of steering me away from the contentment, I guess.
Beautiful. So just stay with all that. Just stay with all that. Just be totally open to what's happening. It's not even clear seeing as such as an expectation. Just
There's a tiny voice that wants to say "fuck off," like to this to to this fight, or to these like whoever is dragging me to to let's go here, let's go here, let's do this, let's do that. It's like it's all someone's like uh grabbing my hand and then pulling me somewhere, and that's metaphorically, of course, but I just like, fuck, leave me, like, but it's not like leave me alone. It's a very tiny it's that anger that like, but
yeah,
it's like a fetus of anger. It's not an anger. It's just like, and then I can feel that the tears are coming up with that. And it's like someone is trying to shake it all off, like fuck all, like sort of burst open, and
can you see
but
how
it's just
can you see how this, can you feel how this is sort of the freedom opening up? Everything's just being as it is without manipulating it.
yeah, but it's so hard to keep well, I think there's an effort of keeping the thoughts away, but
yeah, don't worry about them. Don't worry. Just if they grab you, just see them grabbing you. That's all.
oh my God, there's all these expectations, and now the expectations are basically trying to set a pace for this process. Like, oh, you should be this, you should be that. Like there's almost every moment there's an agenda. There's a, I don't, I'm just not aware of it, but there's always.
So these things now, there seems to be space for them. They're suddenly rushing in. It's all this stuff happening. Just let it be. Just let it be, my friend. Like waves of the ocean. One rolls in and then it's calm for a little while. Another rolls in. That's just how it is.
It's almost like I'm trying, well, someone is trying to resist the expectations, resist the dragging, the like, but there's not enough power, there's not enough mass. I'm too weak, I'm too small. They can drag me anywhere. I can just, cry and yell until I just go really weak, but they just, dragging me here and there, and no one really cares, like.
Yeah. Let them do the dragging.
Until they get tired or what?
They don't. Just see what happens. Let them do the dragging. Find out.
But I have this idea that I have to blow on this little spark of anger that is going to grow so big, and I'll fuck them all up, and they will stop dragging me.
Hang on. Yeah, just leave it. Just leave it.
Yeah, I guess. Hmm. It's almost like a haunted room or a haunted house, and you keep hearing voices, and they're all.
Of course.
Well, it was kind of funny in the beginning, but now it's not, because I don't hear my own voice. I'm so focused on these voices, and
there it is. Let the voices do their thing.
I feel it brings up so much tension and nausea, and it's almost like the body is trying to physically vomit this process out, like bleh, and then like a cat, the cat just vomits, look at it, forgets about it, and goes away, and
if it does vomit, it vomits.
Well, like I mean, I could. It's almost like, nah. I mean, you can use the fingers, right, to evoke it, but
yeah,
it's not the same. It just has to happen on its own.
Everything's there to be, well, noticed is even a thought, but that's the best word we can perhaps find. Everything is there to be experienced.
But I can see I can see how I am now myself expecting in this whatever is happening, I'm expecting, like I have expectations from myself.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like other people's expectations, and now they're my expectations. Like, okay, this process has to go a certain way. It has to have certain milestones. It has to have certain dynamics. And when you're saying just be with it, I'm like, it's hard.
It is.
Like I have to measure it against something all the time to be content with it.
Apparently.
Well, at least an idea is like that is there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
The thing is, Andre, we don't have to just try and remember, we don't have to work at this, we just let it be.
I had a thought earlier today, and I was thinking, like, all these challenges that I see as challenges in my life, and they are like they're pulling me down. Like I wish I had this freedom to fly away, to just be free to. But all these, money, la 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 la, all of these challenges that I identify as challenges, I'm definitely not accepting them because I wish they were something else and I was someone else. And B, I see them as an obstacle, as this disturbance, as something bad, and something that is holding me back from being happy, from being free, not from being happy, just free. You don't have to be happy when you're free.
Here's the thing. You said, I wish I could just fly away and be free. You can never not be here, right? What you're doing right now is this opening up is allowing those things the freedom that they need, and we have bodily experiences as that energy, for want of a better word, starts to free itself. There'll be all sorts of sensations happen, and just giving them their freedom is what true freedom is all about.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say I'll try that, but I won't. It will happen or will not happen. I don't think I'm not putting it in my diary and saying tomorrow.
No. Beautiful. Just let it happen.
Thank you.
Simply having, this last half hour, things have irrefutably changed. We couldn't articulate that, but something's changed. And that's the ongoing experience of who we are, just this continual flowing. So, my friend, just let it be and we'll see what happens. Beautiful. You are much loved.
Almost like there's a river and there's a big log, and I mean lumber. Is stuck inside between the head and the chest. It's and it's just some crazy beavers build a dam there, and you're saying you're much loved, and I'm like, so it's not it's not going in. It's just and it's floating here.
Yeah.
But I hear it.
Beautiful.
Thank you. No, someone else can take over because I'm feeling a little embarrassed now that.
Okay, I'm gonna get you off the hook, Andre. Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I'm on my computer, and normally the computer doesn't work. So if you can't hear me, you need to let me know. Whew, it was good listening to this, because this is kind of what's been my thing all week, which isn't surprising that we come on Sunday, and this is exactly what we need to hear because here we are, But anyway, Alan, I swear I needed you so bad last week. I really did. And I even said that to myself. It's like, oh God, I wish I had Alan right now.
Oh, no, all you need is yourself, Kathleen.
Anyway, 95% of me is really in a good place, and I can catch all the stuff. I don't even need to talk about it. But that little bitty piece, which I've talked about before, is my son. And I really, I was able to set some good boundaries, and I've done really well with him. But then when he comes back in, I'm like, So I needed to help him clean up his house for blah, 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 whatever reason. And so I did. And then, of course, they got COVID, which made me get COVID. So for a week, I was out sick. It wasn't bad. It was like a cold. Actually, it was wonderful. It was like being on a retreat, like a silent retreat. It was the best week I've had in a long time. It was great. But anyway, what happened is I started ruminating and thinking, okay, what if he loses his job? What if this? What if that? What if blah, blah, blah? The same old recording. So I got a piece of paper and a pen, and I started writing like what is this all about? This identification as control, and so I kind of talked myself down, and just kept going here and now, just this here and now. I don't even know what they're doing. They're at their house doing whatever, and so I could kind of bring myself off of that train that I was on, So anyway, so today, his wife calls me and says, oh, Alex is so depressed and he's in a bad place and blah, blah, blah. Can you talk to him? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I had just had a nail in my tire. So I just got the nail taken out of my tire. And so I started driving, and I guess it was maybe 20, 25 minutes from the tire place to my house. I spoke with him, and I don't even know where the words were coming from, because it was as if what I needed to say was coming out of my mouth. And every now and then I would have to say, listen, if you're not getting this, if this sounds too woo-woo to you, I understand, but I just have to tell you where I'm coming from, that, these are thoughts, and, I just went on and on, Anyway, and so when I got home, he was better, I was better. And so it's like I know this stuff, and that little bitty percent of me that gets trapped in identity, and I even told him, like, I can't control anything. I know absolutely jack shit. I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm even saying right now, But so anyway, so I just need to tell you, Alan, last week, if you were feeling vibrations, it was me trying to get you. But as it turned out, I think I was able to unravel some stuff.
Kathleen, that is just beautiful. That when I hear you saying, there was words just coming, and I didn't know what I was saying. It sounds to me like you were listening to yourself, and it just worked out. Well, you didn't even imagine how it could be. Is that right? It just worked out.
Yeah.
Is that not life? Is that not such a precious, precious gift that life is showing you how easy it is to trust it?
I know. I'll be glad when I get that 100%. That little 5% is killing me.
Don't worry
right
about
now.
it.
It's killing me.
I tell you what, I'm not sure that we ever get this last bit. As the things unfold, who was talking earlier, it just really comes to me that we see things and we think, oh, this is it, this is good. And then we see something else that's subtle, or perhaps not so subtle, And then the subtle becomes the gross, and then we clearly see that, and on we go. It's forever. It's so beautiful.
It really is. When I get lost in that, and I could feel myself going into it, and
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. We're on the slippery slide again.
God, it's such a slippery slope, So, anyway, I'm thankful that I was able to get myself out and so here I am. So in a few months from now, I may be talking about Alex again.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. But what when we look at this, isn't that just sheer wonder?
It is.
Really?
What I can understand with what Andre was saying just now is that, the reality of, I got to have money, I've got to work, I got to do all these things, well, that's where my son is right now, and so I jump on that. He's 37. Like I have any control, but I jump on that thing. Oh, well, he's got to work. He's got to do it. It's craziness on my part for worrying about him. But Andre, I can understand what you're saying. To let go and just know that everything's going to be okay sounds like a really big order, and I'm saying that for myself, and today, I did go to his house later on and he was in a much better place, and he has depression, anxiety, all that stuff, and I tell him I'm not minimizing that, but I'm like, what's going on right now, and
exactly. And there's something here about this notion of a doer. Sometimes it can be interpreted that nothing needs to be done. And that's not true. I mean, what the words were coming out of your mouth, you didn't know where they were coming from, and yet it seemed to be perfect for the moment. Now, you weren't doing it per se from the mind. It was just happening. It was just happening. Something was being done. And that can be another aspect of the illusion that we think, oh, well, I just got to sit on the couch. No. It's not about sitting on the couch, but it's about not feeling that I have to do it.
Right.
Just letting whatever is being done be done. It's sheer beauty, Kathleen. Isn't it?
Well, thank y'all for listening, and thank you, Alan. You were actually there, even though you didn't know you were there.
Just give me when Vince and I are most probably fast asleep when you're saying where are they. So just keep doing it, and we might wake up.
Thank you.
I'd just like to give you a gift, Kathleen, and you can put it in one of those little boxes that the rings come in, and you open it up when somebody proposes. Well, when you open that little gift box up, what's in it is that 5% you were talking about. It's a gift.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Big hug to you, Kathleen, and everybody else. But
I have something I'd like to bring up. Kathleen, piggybacking on your issue with your son, I've got a 34-year-old daughter who I worry about. And she has a ton of student debt. She's living in London with her boyfriend, and she's in a job that is a bare minimum wage. And she has a credit card that's maxed out, and she really has no money. She's no way to pay the credit card down and live and take care of student debt. There's just no way. And so for the second time in a year, I'm going to pay her credit card down to zero. And the shift that's happened in the last month is that this time I have no expectation. I don't need to know how she's going to problem solve her finances. As far as I'm concerned, she could take this money and go on vacation. You know, she may not pay that credit card down, but there are so many times in her childhood that I wasn't there for her because I was wrapped up in my own trauma. So I was caught up in my own trauma responses, and she got fallout from that. And I don't know if I'll do it again, but I'm just paying off that card. I'm giving her funds to pay off that card. And she'll either do it or she won't do it. But my feeling is that's not my business. I'm willing to help her, and I want to be there to actually help her. But no demands, no reports, no explanation, nothing. I'll trust her to do what she needs to do with the money. And that's the message I want to convey to her. I trust you to do what you need to do. This is for you, to help you. And I mean, the good thing is she has a real job with an architectural landscape architecture firm. She's not working at McDonald's. I mean, this is a real job, and she's sort of on probation this year, but eventually that'll be a real salary and she'll be able to support herself. But the thoughts, Kathleen, that middle of the night crush in my chest where I can't breathe because what if she's scared? What if she's scared? Because she can't. A year ago, she said to me, I made this mess myself, so I can't ask for help. And I said, you can ask me for help. And I know that's me projecting my history, my trauma of living in terror for years. And I don't want her to live like that. I just don't want her to live like that. Feeling like there's no one can help her. And so anyway, I wanted to bring that up. I was going to ask for advice. For the last couple of weeks, I've thought about bringing this up in the meeting, and I was going to ask for advice. But the more I sat with it, I thought, I don't need any advice. This is a decision. I can do it, and I'm just going to do it. And maybe actions speak louder than words will work here. Maybe she'll.
Careful.
Maybe it'll make a difference. Careful. Did you say careful, Vince?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phoebe, I'm thinking that you've just discovered one of the absolutely greatest possible gift that anybody could get, and that's the to be able to give love, in this case in the form of help, money, or whatever you want to call it, but unconditionally.
Right.
And then
she doesn't have to,
when I said careful, it was like I thought you were starting to put conditions on it again, even in your own mind, of course. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
no, no, there are no conditions. She doesn't have to explain what she's doing with the money.
Yeah, don't think about it in. Well, I mean, you can, of course, but I'm suggesting the beauty of your gift is that there are no strings attached to what you're giving out. It's not about what you're giving out and not about strings. It's about that free offering, that opening of your heart in that way is just, that's an incredible gift. So few people are able to unconditionally give love or money or anything, it's so hard. Even birthday presents come with expectations about how they'll be used and so on, so it's what incredible freedom. That is true freedom. That is true liberation, to be able to just give like that is, great.
So Phoebe, if I can jump in for a second, I'm 70. Can you believe that? I can't believe it. But anyway, so I work part-time, but I'm basically on a fixed income, And so he and his wife have no concept to money management or any of that other stuff. And I've bailed them out for frickin' years, So finally, once I stopped working full-time, it was hard. It was during COVID and blah, 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 And so I had to tell him, don't ask me for a dime. I can't give you a dime. I can help you clean up. I can be an ear to listen. Those things I can do, but I can't give you a dime, And that was, I guess, maybe 2-3 years ago, And since then, they haven't asked me for any money, And now, I'll buy a new tire or, whatever, I'm spending money on them, but it's not because they're asking me to. And
Right.
I set that clear boundary down because that was making me crazy because, there were conditions in my thinking, like, well, if I'm going to give you money for this, you got to do that. And that's not fair. That's not fair,
Yeah.
So with me not giving them money at all, and if I want to give up a new mailbox, I go get a new mailbox, I get someone to put it in, and that's the end of that, but I'm not putting conditions on them. So I think it's wonderful that you're not putting any conditions on this money. Because it just doesn't work, because that's not conditional. And that's not unconditional love. It really isn't, and I think from my own experience, my son understands that there's no conditions on my love. Today, when he was all depressed and all that in the morning, he was so afraid, he was going to lose everybody and no one was going to love him. And I was like, oh, please, it's like, where do you think I would go? It's like, but anyway, I think Vince is absolutely right. What a gift not to have conditions on things. And if she blows the money, well, next time you'll think, maybe yes, maybe no, just depends how you are, but there's not the condition on them. I think that these conditions that we put on our kids from childhood, from like early childhood, is just so wrong. And that's part of what I was telling him when I was driving. We talked about childhood. I don't know. Well, I wish I had a record. I'd love to know what I said. but anyway, whatever it was, it worked. So good luck, Phoebe.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Kathleen, it's equally true. That's telling them that you're not going to give them any more money is a gift you gave them. It may be exactly what he needed. We know at some level that, that's going to cause him to look at things differently. And that's a gift that you gave. Again, a beautiful gift. Yeah.
Absolutely. Phoebe, it's so heartfelt. And I'm finding myself just wondering what happens in the dead of the night when you get those. How did you describe the feeling that you get?
I can't breathe. There's like this pressure on my chest, like I just can't breathe. But Alan, I got to tell you, I'm just going to call this group up, and it's like, Kathleen, she's never asked me for money. She never asked me for anything. So Um, yeah.
So when you get that restriction, you can't breathe, what happens? What's your reaction to that?
Well, what I used to do is sit up in bed, get my iPhone, put on a meditation, put on a fetter, put on something to take my mind somewhere else.
Right.
Now I do this exercise, eye exercise that Pernilla taught me to look at a clock with your eyes, circles, you know, have your eyes follow a clock, internal clock in your head. And that usually gets me back in my body. And sometimes I'm asleep within 10 minutes or so.
So what would happen, do you think, if you were unconditional to that as you're unconditional to your daughter about giving money? If you just said, okay, let me just see what this is, just staying with it. It may be a real challenge and may not be possible, but if it were even remote, you know, slightly possible, just to sit with that or just to lie there.
Right.
And if you can just, and again, it may seem beyond doing, but if you can just feel behind it and say, just feel, what is this saying to me? You know, I can relate to your experience with your daughter. She was in London. She's in London, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a few years ago now. We had a son over there and he didn't have enough money to make a telephone call. He used to find a telephone box where we could reverse charge and call him at the telephone box. So I used to get off the phone and wonder whether I'd be speaking to him again. So I can relate very much to what you're saying. But this is so such an opportunity when that feeling of can't breathe comes at night. Just to do your best just to be with it and just see if there's anything there that you can feel it wants to say, for want of a better description. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I've gotten close to terror a few times, and then
yeah, I'm out of here.
I am out of here. It's just like so. But I have lots of opportunity. Right now, I'm only sleeping about 4 hours, 5 hours a night, and this has been going on for over a month now. So, and again, that's terror too. That's terror that I have this just an incredible job dropped in my lap back in July, a huge, huge job. And I have to get it done. I have to execute it. And what if I don't? Or what if it sucks? Or what if I fall on my fucking face? I'm screwed. But I'm working on it, and it's like, it's all right. It's all right. I can do this. I can do this. I am doing this. But it's trauma response. I'm fucked. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, no matter what I do in life, I'm fucked. And stepping back from that and saying, okay, well, I'm fucked too, but that's not all I am. I mean, that's not everything. That's sometimes
Yeah.
I am. So that I have that perspective, and this community is huge for me. This particular community means a lot to me, and
so
the thought, those beliefs are just thoughts. I get
yeah,
that. I
they
get
are.
that. But I also get that the body response, the trauma response inside, that I need to own that, let it be here, and then I understand it'll dissipate because I've experienced that.
Right.
I've experienced that before, so I know it happens. So it's just yeah. And I'm really glad I clarified this thing about the money, because I've decided I can do it because this project's so big that it gives me the leeway to help my daughter.
Amazing.
And it's like, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to surprise her by not asking anything about the money. I'm just going to let it be. You know, maybe she'll share with me what she does with it. Maybe she won't, but it's all right. She doesn't need to. But I will, the next time that I have that sense of suffocation, I'll try to stay with it.
Yeah, just be with it as gently as you can.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
How's things been for you, Shafiq?
Things have been pretty good. I think I'm in a state of just like enjoying things unfolding, like events happening and going through them, and for the first time, like being hand off the wheels and just like going with the flow. And I used to getting very frustrated by trying to figure out things, and now it's still happening. Still like questions come up and just like have curiosity about different things, but you just maybe not looking for an answer or get somewhere, and it's fascinating. I just notice them more. And every once in a while things happen. Like for example, I think I heard it was mentioned that it's good to go through like fetters, and just I'm going through them. And this morning I was watching for the first time the third fetter about like watching the Pernill's video, and she mentioned something that like any action that is done with a purpose is a diversion. And that I felt it was such a foreign concept for my logical mind. And I felt something like halted, like stopped. And so, yeah, I'm still there. Something felt some truth in it, but at the same time, all these different things are coming up. Okay, how these things like work with the other, everything else. Just like nothing needs to change or happen. And I think, Alan, you also mentioned about like no doer is not equal to nothing needs to be done. And that was very helpful. But I guess like before I had this expectation of the spontaneity, and I just saw that as an expectation. But again, this phrase and this just evoked this kind of, okay, so there is no planning needs to be done, or the planning is happening, right? How does it work? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's what's present.
it's a bit of a mystery, isn't it? You're planning a vacation. Well, you've got to plan it. You've got to book the airfare. You can't just turn up at the airport and think, okay, I'm going to get a free business class seat here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she mentioned like an example, like for example, it's going from what you want to do to it's what needs is moving into.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like it's like many other concept is very foreign to my logical mind, and I'm just letting that to just open up and then see where does it take me.
That's a perfect attitude.
Beautiful. And the challenge is not to have your hand just next to the handbrake so you can pull it on if you don't like what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this idea like once you actually see through things, like getting around, okay, there is no like free will, not free will, self, no self. It's just like your path is closed. But I see that like it's like you're going back through them, you're going through them again. It's like a spiral, and but just different intensity, different level. And then you see them connecting together, and this like led to another one. And it just like opens this here, and then different levels, and just like I can see why they say like it never ends, because really just like they are opening each other in different level.
Yeah, beautiful. And they get subtler and subtler as you climb that spiral. And I love how you said that one opens the other. You know, they're kind of I see it more like dominoes falling, and you know, one sets the next one off. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's things been for you, Yvonne? Yvonne's iPhone.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi, everybody. I was just drifting off. What was the question, Vince?
How's things been for you just lately? They were somewhat turmoil last time we spoke.
It's still pretty awful. It's pretty hard work. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had such a challenging time. Yeah. Yeah. He's impossible, although he just did soften up just a little bit today. It was probably because I said that I don't know that I can continue unless he stops shouting and becomes more reasonable and lets me do a few more things. And he sort of softened up a bit. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to even begin to say what it's like. It's so horrible. I dread going over there in the mornings. the other has.
It sounds like you established a boundary.
You mean by what I said
Mm.
today to him?
Mm.
Maybe I even I said I think we've got to sell this house, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do actually, but maybe I did. I hope so. He softened up and put his hand out again and said, "I'm sorry." Oh, he said, "I'm sorry. I'm so horrible to live with." Oh, he said, "I'm so horrible." He said, "I'm so." I said, "I'm so awful. It's so awful." And he said he understands how awful it is for me somehow. And he said, "But I am so angry, and I'm so pissed off with my health and how I am." He said, "I'm just so angry." And I felt softened towards him.
Mm.
It kind of goes, it's 1 minute it's impossible, and the next minute it's not too bad. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bit of both ways though. You shared something of yourself with him and he softened, and he shared something with you and you softened.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty
Well, I
positive.
don't. Yeah. It's just that his memory is so bad. He doesn't remember anything. I mean, I'm hoping it happened on a deeper level with him, because he doesn't remember anything. We've just
Careful with expectations. That might set yourself up for something, but maybe because of his memory, you need to repeat that regularly, even.
Yeah, or maybe even write things down for him.
That could do it. Yeah.
Ah, it's horrible going in there. It's so dirty, and I mean, I think I might have mentioned it last week, but the floor has not been cleaned for 2 years.
Mm.
I mean, nothing's been cleaned for 2 years since I've been there. And he just says, I've been ill, I can't do anything. Oh.
He can't afford to get a cleaner in?
Well, yes, he can. We can. But he keeps saying, I can't afford a cleaner. I said, yes, you can. Yes, we can.
Mm.
I don't think he wants anybody in there because he's ashamed.
Yeah, could be the case. Yeah. Mm.
But thank you for asking me, Vince. It's a very lonely road being with someone who's got no memory and who is becoming more, as I'm there, I'm becoming more, he's becoming more and more dependent upon me.
Mm. Mm.
And I'm thinking, oh God, how can I do this? Hey.
Well, you do need to look after yourself, and
Yeah.
boundaries are one way that you'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's strange how one doesn't, I didn't expect this. I mean, quite like it is. And I mean, you never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
He's afraid of dying. He says, I'm afraid of dying. Oh, and I keep saying, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed. And so I say to him, oh, it's only a thought, it's only you're believing your thoughts. And, every time you believe the thought, there's a story with it. And he goes, oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, not being a seeker, he's not going to get it probably. Who knows? Yeah.
It's kind of odd though. I come in here and I meditate, and he goes in there and he worries. It's like two completely opposing things happening.
Mm.
But I'm glad I do. I just have to go and spend some time in here.
Yep. Yeah. And it keeps you sane.
And he gets pissed off about that because he says, oh, I've got no one to talk to.
Mm.
All right. Yeah, thank you for asking.
wish I could give you a hug.
Oh, me too. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a lonely road. It's a lonely, but I'm glad that I'm able to let it all go.
Yeah.
I do think about it sometimes, and then I make a story and I think, oh God, and this and that, and then I get frightened, and then I realize what I'm doing. And it's just like having, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to, I think well, it seems ridiculous, but to remember that life's got my back, and that it's like just having faith that it's just it's all right. It's just all right. And that sounds crazy, but I can say it here. That
it doesn't sound crazy to me.
As long as I don't think about things. But then everybody comes back saying, what are you going to do? What's your plan? And I think it's okay to have a bit of a plan. I don't know what it is, though.
Well, plans happen. But yeah, they might or might not get carried out. That's another story.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going on a bit, but I'm going to go and see his doctor next week, this coming week. And I'm going to, with my best French, I don't think he knows that I don't know how much the doctor knows about his memory. And I don't know how much he's picked up. He's a young man, apparently a nice man. So I'll go and chat and try and see what help I can get, if there is any, with him.
Yeah, sure. Well, that sounds like a good move to me.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Maybe
not to
an answer there. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a partial answer there. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're a soldier.
Yeah. Feel like a soldier. Thank you for asking.
I would much rather you have told me some really good, pleasant news stuff.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I just don't think about it. As best I can not think about it.
But you display wonderful human resilience. I love that. That's a positive, isn't it?
I don't know what it is. Oh, good. Yeah. It's difficult finding words, isn't it?
Yeah,
so difficult.
Oh, yeah. And under these circumstances, so many words kind of easily come across as platitudes, and that's not what we want.
Yeah. They do. They do come across as platitudes, yeah. And then also I'm in this house and I've got a bit of a spider phobia, and this has got some big spiders in here, some big webs. So I'm also coping with that, which is
Well, rather than just tolerate it, maybe the spiders are your friends, and you're going to learn acceptance or something. Who knows what they're teaching?
I did have a word with them because I saw one run across the wall last night, and a wasp suddenly started crawling across me. There's a lot of wildlife here because, as you know, we're sort of in the countryside. So it's making friends with, and I did have a word with the spiders. I said, please, just I'm not too keen on you being too close.
Yeah.
So that if we could
They
stay away a little.
Taking care of some of the wildlife for you.
Sorry?
The spiders are probably up there taking care of some of the wildlife for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've got mosquitoes, but here the spiders would eat mosquitoes and they'd eat cockroaches and things like that. Yeah.
Don't seem to have any mosquitoes at the moment. And that's a bit what I'm wondering why not. I'm wondering that wildlife isn't quite like it used to be.
That's everywhere.
It's not as much. Sorry?
That's everywhere, I think.
Yeah. Definite change in the wildlife.
How's your heart these days, Yvonne?
Well, I'm still got. I've not had the heart bypass. I was saying a couple of weeks ago that I've been having some healing from this wonderful woman called Eva, who seems to have removed a lot of my fears and anxiety. She's incredible. And when I went to have my tests, they said, oh, it's not as crucial. We can't do it. We're taking you off the waiting list because it's not quite as at the point where it seems to, it's not quite so crucially need to be done as it was before. So I don't know how that's happened. I mean, obviously I've been meditating a lot and getting healing. And I've got to be very careful. I think, well, maybe I can heal it myself. There is that thought that is a thought. But it might happen that way. I don't know.
Certainly it is a thought, but things do happen. I know they do.
Yeah.
My experience is that they do. So it's not just a crazy thought. It is a thought. That's the way it presents itself to you. But self-healing happens. The body is an amazing thing. Absolutely amazing.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I don't feel the fear like I felt before. And I have far more energy after having the healing. It's like she's come to my natural born energy. And I expect it eventually affects the physical.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can easily see how the fear affects the physical in a negative way.
Yeah. And it's quite amazing, really, that I don't feel so much. I don't feel the fear. Yeah. And
good.
to see poor Richard, that's his name, he's in a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And I can't take it away. I can't take him out of it.
It's not your job either.
No.
As much as you might want to.
Yeah. I do. And I go back and forth between feeling complete compassion for him and then like almost wanting to murder him. So it's like, whoa.
Sounds perfectly normal to me. and it's an amazing thing that we can carry both of those at the same time. We don't just have to go from one to the other and back again, that they can
No.
be there at the same moment. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's good he's got no memory because he forgets. And it's a good thing in a way because it's helpful. So we can have something happen and then it's all gone. And it's like it never happened.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't remember.
Yeah. Well, there's an upside to everything, isn't there?
There is an upside, yeah. But he can't laugh. Oh, he did laugh twice, actually, so he can laugh. Yeah.
But it's not his natural thing.
No.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think sometimes I absorb. I sometimes have to go out because I feel I can feel what he's feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And
the other way around will work as well. It may not be as obvious, but your disposition will affect him. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Because love is contagious.
Yep, and joy, and you are a joyful person. I think I always frequently see you smiling and laughing and so on. That's yeah.
I think I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the surface, his situation seems to be only serious, but it's not more than only serious. There are other aspects to it as well. Yeah. And as difficult as it is for you, it is an opportunity for you to see how it affects you, to see what goes on inside you.
Yeah, because I remember you saying last week, see what triggers you. And that's quite tricky to remember to do that.
Mm.
The triggering happens so quickly.
It does, that's right. But it always ends. And that moment of recognition when it does end, that's the moment when you can investigate
Yeah.
it. It's also the moment
Yeah.
you need to have a bit of a laugh to yourself as well.
Yeah. 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 I thought my mother, when I looked after my mum, I used to go and spend about 6 weeks with her. She had an amazing memory, but she was very difficult and wouldn't let me out of her sight. So before I used to go into her house, I had a real difficulty going through the door. I thought, oh no, once I'm in, I'm trapped. Oh no. But I did learn a lot from being with her. And yeah, there's a lot to learn.
Yep. Yeah. Every situation brings with it.
Every situation. And thank God for the cat.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? Yeah.
I love the way he doesn't mind. I've not let him in at the moment. And this is where he often comes, that he's made such a mess because he's a bit feral. And but Rich is very keen on looking after him. And so we have a common caring. And that's good. And also the cat, I love to see the cat because I've altered his situation a bit, but it's just like he doesn't seem bothered. He just accepts it. And I think, wow, great, that cat just, I learn a lot from the cat. It's incredible. Yeah. He just accepts however it is, and he doesn't worry about it. He just accepts it.
Yeah. And you watch him, if he gets startled or gets a surprise, he'll do a shake and after that it'll be finished. Totally finished. Just
totally finished.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. And it's warm.
Oh,
the weather is warm.
I envy you that. We're still in winter here. But
it can't be that cold though.
Oh, it's terrible. It's 19 degrees at the moment.
Well, that's quite warm. That is quite warm.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you, for being there.
Thank you. Well, on that note, it's breakfast time here.
It's time for is it time for poached eggs?
It is.
I keep suggesting every Sunday you have poached eggs.
It sounds boring, but I really like them. My wife likes them too. Yeah. And I can cook them.
Oh, brilliant. They're not easy.
Mm.
Unless you've got an egg poacher.
Right. Yeah, no, I just cook them, do them in the saucepan.
Do you swirl the water? Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
I just
Do you swirl the water and then drop the egg in?
Put a little bit of vinegar in it, and then I drop the eggs in. Yeah.
Clever.
All right, everybody. I need to go. I've got an appointment in 3 minutes. So yeah.
Oh no.
No worries.
Oh, bye, Vincent. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Good morning, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, before we go, Al, I'll just make you a host, and we'll see. So when this afternoon, let's just send me a text or something, and then you try and start the meeting and see what happens.
All right. So we were talking about 11 o'clock, or
yeah. Well, no, 11 o'clock's fine. Yeah.
let's do 11 o'clock. I'll call you at 11 o'clock and see how we go.
Okay.
Or do you want? Yeah, I'll call you and then we can work through it on the phone together.
Right. Okay.
Good.
So I'll just change host now, and now you're host. Okay. So let's see what happens.
Right. Lovely. All right. Talk to you then, Vince. Bye, Yvonne. So lovely to see you.
And to see you too. Bye-bye.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
God bless you all. Bye-bye.